I also want to introduce Byron. Byron is currently a third-year seminarian at Princeton Theological Seminary studying youth ministry, queer theology, and eco-theology. His background is as a fourth-generation missionary kid from the Middle East and Pacific Islands with significant roots in Central East Africa. In university, Byron earned dual degrees in ocean science and theater performance, so he considers building bridges across difference and cooperative communication to be core values. So currently he is on the board of Circle Faith Future, which I'm absolutely thrilled about, and on the advising board for Q7 Christians, as well as the theologian in residence for Affirming Youth Ministries. He also is bi-ecclesial. So this is a really cool way of talking about how many of us kind of straddle different wisdom and faith disciplines. He is allied with both the Presbyterian PC USA Church and the Eastern Orthodox tradition. So there we are. Hopefully that gets us started. Y'all probably read that before the cafe, but Byron, I want to turn it over to you, and I'm really, really glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Richenda. I am so happy to be here. I'm honored to be at this group. Just a little bit of the conversation that I heard to kick this off. I'm definitely in a wonderful group that I know is doing amazing things in this world, and I'm really jazzed to be invited to kind of help lead and present a conversation today. As we get started, I want to engage your imaginations a little bit. I want to ask you about a story that you, or an experience that you've had with the oceans. So think about that for just a second, and I will start sharing my screen. So we all have, even if we don't have experiences with the ocean itself, if we've never been to the seashore, maybe we've been to a lake, but we've heard stories about what the ocean is like, either the size of it or the smell. And so as you engage your senses of a story that either formed you as you were young, or maybe just an experience a couple of weeks ago of the ocean, I want you to think of the narratives and the emotions, the feelings that go behind that. And then a layer deeper than that as well. What are the spiritual stories? What are the spiritual connotations that you have either been presented with or that you've derived from those experiences of the ocean? I invite you to write a word or two down in the chat about what came up as you're thinking about those stories. Pilgrimage to the sea. Jellyfish. Respect for the sea. I love that. The beauty and majesty of the waters. My childhood in Hawaii. Sharks and bathing on the shoreline. Questions about virtual walking on water. Magic in the coral reefs. These are beautiful. Yeah, I guess I should have expected it from this group, but these connotations of beauty and protection, of awe, is not always what we're presented with. From Edward, we have circumnavigated, sailed across 6 oceans. Beautiful. Mindfulness, crossing the ocean the first time to live in Africa. Yo, same. The act, and that the ocean was once nearly everywhere on our planet. Yeah, these aspects come up all over the place in our spiritual connotations. As you continue to put things, I love this, hurricanes, peaceful, beautiful sunsets. What I'm getting is that our experiences with the ocean and the spiritual narratives that we're getting are complex. They're close to us. Some of them are scary in some cases. I heard hurricanes I don't think we should be afraid of sharks, but a healthy respect for sharks. I want to engage with this idea of the narratives we've been handed. So my specific training here at Princeton is in Bible interpretation. So I want to talk about the theology of the ocean, chaos and creation. We already did a little bit of an intro, but I'm enthusiastic, as you can see. Our experiences with the ocean really do help shape our lives. So one thing, as I have always been drawn to the ocean, I have an undergraduate degree in ocean science and theater performance. And so when I come to the Bible, I'm always thinking about the presentation. What is the story that we're presented with? And the word ocean is not actually mentioned anywhere in the entire Bible, not in the KJV or NRSV. What is mentioned is the sea. And I'll come back to that in a second. But in terms of, so the sea is actually mentioned about 500 times, which, if we think about the big narrative words in the Bible, think of big important spiritual virtues that we think, like hope or justice or even love. The word sea is mentioned more times than the word love in the Bible. And so if you think of love as a theme of the Bible, maybe we should equally think about the importance of what the ocean or the sea is. And yet we get words like wilderness way more than that. So thinking about presentationally, how big of a voice does the ocean have in our scriptures? It shouldn't surprise us that the ocean, that no biblical figure ever mentions or talks about the ocean. Instead, we have all of these seas. We have the Ionian Sea, the Aegean Sea, the Black Sea, the Salt Sea, the Sea of Galilee, the Red Sea. Even these ancient narratives of Odysseus and Iliad take place just in the Mediterranean Sea. To the biblical mind, the sea was a place of danger. It was a place that surrounded these ancient maps. This is the Al-Idris map from the 12th century, and you can see the ocean comes around the entire world as far as they knew it. This map may not look as accurate as this one. They're the same thing, but our worldview is always easy to flip upside down. The previous map was right side up, but this is how we view the world nowadays. Even 2 centuries later, this is the Fra Mauro map, and you can see the ocean supposedly surrounds even the bottom of this very bulbous looking Africa and this very truncated Asia. So the sea is referenced mostly as boundaries. And so it's no surprise that an ancient understanding of the sea transferred into, or maybe even was derived from, their theological view of the cosmos. We hear in early Genesis and some takes throughout Job and Isaiah of this dome of the sky, above which is the waters of the firmament, another sea. This sea that surrounds and goes below this cave system. All of these narratives of the sea are the ultimate boundaries. The sea is also presented as danger. The earliest creation narratives talk about a spirit hovering over the waters of chaos. You can dig deep into narratives, like I said, in Isaiah and Job, about God coming and wrestling with or defeating an ancient sea serpent, the Leviathan, and then at certain times cutting that up and creating the world from the body parts of this beast. So chaos, violence, boundaries. This is what the predominant narratives of the ocean are that we're presented with in the Bible. Even in the New Testament, we get these stories of calming the sea, walking on top of the sea. There's not much engagement other than this sense of chaos, boundaries, domination. About a third of the times that the Bible mentions the sea is simply as a territorial property boundary. So seas presenting chaos and danger. Paul, nor most of the theology of the New Testament don't really mention seas or oceans at all, despite Paul being shipwrecked, but despite all of the apostles being many of the apostles being fishermen. So the notable lack of sort of redeeming narratives about the sea really do something to our theology. The sea is the place that is full of monsters. Sea as boundary. This is one of the things that we see throughout a lot of our theology, and it continues to affect how central of a narrative we think about in terms of climate care, in terms of activism. We often hear about taking care of the air, taking care of soil degradation, save Mother Earth, and yet the sea is the invisible half of what so much of this work looks like. I'm wondering what alternative narratives other than chaos and violence and boundary we could be given. Even at the end of the Bible in Revelation, most of the narratives we get, it says, in fact, that this entire sea is going to be dried up in this narrative of destruction. Does this give us a sort of spiritual tacit allowance to destroy the sea because it's all going to be eliminated anyway? We hear about a new heaven and a new earth, but what about a new sea? And I want to ask this question: what is the hydrological layout of our eschatology, of our end vision of a new creation? So rather than being handed this theology of fear, this theology of separation, this theology as the sea as something to be afraid of, somehow off limits, maybe something to be dominated or split, to be traversed. I wonder if we can work towards a theological understanding of relationship that the ocean brings us. Perhaps here the ocean as peaceful. I think of the island of Guam, where I spent a significant amount of my childhood, surrounded by the Pacific Ocean. The largest body of water on the planet is named for its calm, peaceful nature. I think of ocean vacations. If we can embrace the theology of peace around the ocean, perhaps that makes it a little bit more appealing to take care of. Maybe the ocean as mystery, as abundant provider, not something to be dominated, but to be respected and protected. To find these theological narratives is something that can give us the grounding to then have the theological action, the spiritual action in community. I'm seeing these tide pools here, and I think of all of the ways in which the ocean is the perfect paradigm of interconnectedness. I studied ocean science, and I was always amazed at how all of these aspects of science were deeply connected. Ocean biology affects ocean chemistry. Ocean geology affects ocean physics. You can't talk about the economics of the ocean without talking about history. Everything touches everything else in the ocean. I can see how all of you in your work of activism do not live separated lives, but are connected globally. You connect your work in interdisciplinary ways. There's no way to do this work effectively without connecting with economics, politics, history, health, faith. So I'd say the ocean in some ways is a little like the Holy Spirit, and it invites us in, and it invites us to engage. It's something that connects. Here's just a couple of pictures in my life of the way that the ocean has inspired me to dive in. Surfing, scuba diving, doing art projects, hanging out with friends, studying it academically in terms of science. And I hope that some of these refreshed narratives can do something similarly for you. And so as I turn it back over to you, I wanted to invite some questions, invite some theological imagination of where in your own faith systems, in your own spiritual walk, where have you seen redemptive analogies and metaphors for how we can sustain ourselves spiritually with this amazing work that I'm seeing so many of us doing? What are the narratives that empower and enliven this work for all of us?
Awesome.